Let's go live now to London. Joining me is Spiked Online Editor Tom Slater. Tom, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me. Let's start with a data leak which shows Keir Starmer's government secretly offered asylum to nearly 24,000 Afghans, and it's costing British taxpayers £7 billion. That's a little over 14 billion Aussie dollars. What on earth is going on here, Tom?
It's hard to know where to start with this. I mean, first and foremost, you've got 25,000 predominantly Afghan soldiers and their families who were the subject of this data breach. A Royal Marine in the Defence Department just accidentally said this spreadsheet around with all of their information on it, effectively handing the Taliban a hit list. But the problem gets deeper. You have the government trying to cover it up by this super injunction, unprecedented in political history. And then also you have this secretive move to offer all of these people asylum, which we may well owe these people a debt of gratitude, but surely that's something that the public needs to be consulted on. Surely that's something that we need to know about. So from the screw up through to the secrecy, through to the kind of anti-democracy of it, it's a damning indictment of the British state, I think, from top to bottom.
It's unbelievable. I mean, the cover-up is absolutely breathtaking by Labor, but come to expect nothing less from Keir Starmer's government. Now, this has made newspaper headlines across the world. A Year 7 student has been thrown out of her own school's diversity day for turning up in a Union Jack dress. 12-year-old Courtney was stopped by teachers on arrival and given the option to put on a second-hand uniform instead. Here she was talking about what happened.
The first teacher I saw, she straight away just took me to go get changed. She didn't want to hear about my dress or see it. Another teacher tried to stop me and said, you can't be in that, it's your nationality and not your culture. They asked me to come with them and to change into a second-hand school uniform. They said that I didn't sign a form when the head of year did ring my mum and she said she did sign it, yet they still didn't want me to wear it.
So, Tom, explain this to us. A British girl is sent home from school for being too British, but kids were allowed to wear burqas. Is that diversity for you?
Absolutely. I don't think I can explain it other than to say that this is the mess that we've landed ourselves in which you've got school children constantly being encouraged to celebrate cultural difference. And yet when someone shows up wanting to represent their country, actually the flag that surely should unite the children of that class of all backgrounds, then that's treated as if she walked in wearing an SS uniform or something. I mean, this response that you get from the education system, from the great and good these days, as if to be even mildly patriotic is something kind of weird and strange. That's a kind of national sickness that I think we need to free ourselves from.
And what does it say more broadly as well about the education system, how it's been completely hijacked by these left-wing activists?
No, exactly. It was the fact that these teachers just did this without even thinking. I mean, it's the sort of water that the people in the education system swim in now, which is just allergic to patriotism, which is nervous around anything to do with national identity. They have apologised now, but the fact that that was their response in the first place speaks volumes, I think.
Yeah, it does. I feel like and this isn't just happening in the UK, it's happening here in Australia. There's this real identity crisis where you be proud for your country, you be proud of who you are, but, you know, you're called a racist or a bigot just for loving your values. I just think it's absolutely very, very strange. Now, this is interesting. More than 1 million migrants are claiming benefits in the UK every month. Tom, I can't help but just wonder, you may as well be a migrant now in Britain because you're getting better benefits than the Brits themselves.
I know this number is really striking. So it's now around 1.3 million foreign nationals who are claiming universal credit, our main benefit here in the United Kingdom. And this is something which I think people are really bristling against because of the fact that there is a kind of social contract in place. The idea that if you are going to access the benefit system, you should have been here for quite a long time. You should be a British citizen. I don't think that's an outrageous position to hold. And if you're going to have a benefit system as dysfunctional as ours is, as I'm sure you've talked about on this channel many times, you have to have that level of public buy-in. You have to have people feeling that the system is fair, that people can't show up 5 minutes ago and access it. These aren't outrageous positions, but the government has got into such a mess with immigration, it's got into such a mess with the benefit system that it's actually just breaking down faith in what should be a kind of thing that people pay into, they're happy to pay into, knowing that they could get something out of it if they need it. All of that trust is just sort of dissolving underneath all of this dysfunction, I think.
Well, is that why, Tom, reform is doing quite well now in the UK? Because, I mean, this really is Nigel Farage's bread and butter. He's so onto the migrant matter all the time, and you guys have got boats coming in left, right, and centre. But it's stories like this. Am I right in saying that the Brits are going, well, hey, we need a reform. This is why we need a reform right now.
No, absolutely. And I think the other reason that it's driving people towards reform is the fact that the Tories have their fingerprints all over these problems. We could talk about the Afghan scandal. We could talk about the benefits system. We could talk about the unprecedented wave of immigration that began under Boris Johnson. Whilst Labour are kind of having to carry the can for it now because the full effects of it are being felt during their government, obviously the Tory government were responsible for setting a lot of this in train. So it's no wonder that people are turning towards essentially a third party for the first time in 100 years in this country. It's because of the utter dysfunction, the utter disconnect with what ordinary people care about. It's become a recruiting sergeant for reform in exactly the way that you say.
No, exactly. That's why I'm always seeing reform doing so well across the board there. Tom Slater, always good to catch up. Thanks very much for joining me on the show this evening.